Alright, let's get started on video number 2 for today. We're going to be looking at Germany. For this video, Germany is the country that goes first in Axis and Allies Anniversary Edition 1941 setup. For this, there are several things that we're going to take a look at. One thing in particular is that this is the first version of the game, Anniversary Edition, where transports could not defend. And so we might have a transport or two in an awkward position, and we want to make sure that we keep tabs on that and we don't leave it unnecessarily vulnerable. In this case, we have one transport down here. Now, Germany will go, and then the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union actually does not start with any fighters in this scenario, so you might think that, oh, our transport's okay. But England is going to go before Italy, so you can't, let's say, move your transport up here and then expect Italy to reinforce you. England has a fighter up here, it'll just easily come up and take you out. No problems for them. So we still need to make sure that it is defended, and for that reason, what I see as the most likely scenario is to combine it with the Italian fleet and maybe move a couple infantry or something over to North Africa to try and make a stronger push over against Egypt. You do not have the forces to take it on the first turn. So you could send from here an infantry, artillery, and a tank. You could also send, with your transport, another infantry and a tank down here, leaving your transport vulnerable. So you'd have 2 infantry, an artillery, and 2 tanks, but probably isn't enough. You could send your bomber down here. So you might try that. That might be kind of close. I haven't run the odds on it. I do like to do that in some other versions of the game. And so that might be an opportunity. You would lose your transport, so it could be a little bit risky. But if you are able to, if the odds are in your favor, I'll have to check it, then that might be a good opening move. That does mean you can't use your bomber for something else, though. So you have to take away from another area in order to do that. But depending on what you want to do in other locations, maybe that's something that you would be okay with. But let's walk through some of the other things that you might keep an eye on and see if the bomber is going to be more valuable up here or if we can spare it down here. So we've got 2 subs over here. They are the only thing that can, well, aside from your 1 bomber that can hit this. That is just 1 battleship because the transport can't defend. So you could try and go up that way. And if you send your bomber, the bomber is going to have to land in Norway. You could also send a sub over here, have a sub versus a destroyer, try and take that out, or both of them to give you an advantage. You could also move 1 or both of them down here to take out this destroyer and cruiser. Now if you do this, you're going to need some air support. Fortunately, you can get this fighter from northwestern Europe down there, no problem. You could also get your bomber down there if your bomber's not doing anything else. If you are okay with this fighter in Germany landing in Morocco, you could also send that fighter. Now if you're planning on moving that infantry forward, or even if you're just planning on leaving an infantry, keep in mind that the US can land with a transport, and if they see a lone fighter, they might send a couple less expensive units, an infantry and an artillery, and maybe their bomber to try and take it out. Even if there's an infantry and a fighter there, they might try and do that. So sending that fighter this way might not be the greatest idea. You also have a navy here in the Baltic. It's not quite as powerful as in 42, but you do have that navy there, so you can swing out and take out that destroyer. Now, when you do that, leaving your transport behind, it is going to be defenseless. So, as you know, I do like buying a carrier on the first turn as Germany. I would recommend it here and see if we can get 2 fighters landed on it by the end of the turn, or at the end of the turn. That way that transport's still protected. Now, this transport could be used to ferry guys up to Karelia or to the Baltic states. Karelia is much more heavily defended. That probably is not going to be the best route for you. However, you can ferry a couple guys up to Baltic states. It's more lightly defended. You can take that. You can send a small contingent from, I believe this is Poland, up there just to make sure you take it. I would recommend only sending the minimum that you think you're going to need to take it up there, and sending the rest of the guys from here over into East Poland. And then you have the Bulgaria, Romania here. You're going to want to send enough guys into Ukraine to take it, and the rest into Poland, or East Poland. East Poland is a very strategic location. It gives you... it's in a position where it can hit all across the front. It's not down in the south where it can only hit in the south. It's not up in the north where it can only hit things in the north. It's right in the center. It is also 2 spaces from Berlin. So if you build tanks in Berlin, they can get there the very next turn, which makes it, puts you in a decent position to counterattack there. Whereas, let's say, in Ukraine, you can't quite get there fast enough. In the south, you also have Italy, who can help reinforce and possibly can opener for you. And so they'll be able to add support up here, which strengthens you down here. So I would recommend throwing as much as you can spare after making sure that you get Baltic and Ukraine, or is that Eastern, or no, yeah, regular Ukraine, not Eastern Ukraine, sending the rest into Poland. The Russians have a total, assuming you take those other territories, they have a total of 3 infantry, which isn't a whole lot of fodder they can send in. They also just have the 1 tank. So you've kept your primary force away from this stack of infantry in Caucasus, this stack of infantry in Karelia. You can now branch out wherever they are most weak. And you have at least some sort of your force on your northern and southern flanks there. If Russia starts moving too much out of Karelia, you have this transport. You could attack there on your next turn, or you can move more into Baltic states to counterattack there. You can also, on your turn, move some guys from Norway over to Finland to threaten Karelia, so Russia can't move as much out. That is going to be on a non-combat turn. It is a little bit of a hassle in the sense that you don't have that much infantry and you're having to attack into a bunch of Russian infantry. Those of you who have seen some of my other videos know that I'm not particularly a fan of that. However, in this case, we need to make sure we're attacking. We need to make sure we're using our offensive capabilities to our advantage and just beating in as quickly as possible before the other allies get a chance to go. Also, Russia doesn't have a whole lot other than infantry, so no matter where we're attacking, it's going to be against infantry, and it's going to take them a little bit of time to get going. And if we can be pressing in to the gates of Moscow, or in Moscow before they're able to get going, that is going to be hugely beneficial for our war aims. So that is Germany. The next country to go is going to be the Soviet Union, so I'll get a video posted on that, and we'll take a look at when Germany is knocking down your door, when you've got Italy to worry about, when England's navy, at least in some fashion, has taken significant damage. They may have a little bit more, they may have a little bit less in any given game, but a significant portion of their force regardless is going to be destroyed. And what should we do as Russia?